Let's get to the list.
All right, guys, item number 1 is this set of undersized plywood router bits from Whiteside. Now, if you're making cabinets or building things out of plywood on a regular basis, then this is a great set of router bits to have on hand. As most of you likely figured out early on in your woodworking, 3/4 inch plywood is never 3/4 of an inch, and 1/2 inch plywood is never 1/2 an inch. They are all going to be a little bit thinner than that, and so when you go to make dados and grooves in plywood using regular 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch router bits, you'll always get sloppy loose joints. Now, the long way around this is to make a 3/4 inch dado using a 1/2 inch bit and just do it in multiple passes until you get a snug fit. But this set of router bits eliminates the need to do that. You can make the cut in just one pass and have a snug fitting joint. This set comes with a bit for use on 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch plywood. Item number 2 on the list is probably the tool that I get asked about the most in DMs and comments, and that is the Amana Tools Countersink drill bit. I think because it looks so different with the adjustable stop collar, people always want to know what I'm using. Now, as the name suggests, this drill bit will drill a pilot hole and also add a countersink all at once. The stop collar is adjustable with this little wrench and stops your cut at the desired depth. You always know when you hit your depth because the stop collar will stop spinning. Now, if you're assembling projects with lots of screws, this is a really handy bit to have on hand because you're basically turning 2 separate processes into one, which is just going to save you time. Item number 3 comes from my videos on 5 ways to up your table saw game. If you want a convenient and accurate way to set a bevel angle on your table saw or your miter saw, you should consider a digital angle gauge. There's a button to zero out your gauge on a reference surface, like in my case, the top of my table saw. And they have a magnetic base so that you can place them on your saw blade and read it as you tilt the blade to dial in the exact angle that you want. This angle gauge from Wixie has always been accurate for me, and I've gotten great results out of my work from using it. So I use this thing pretty much every time I want to set a bevel angle of 45 degrees on my table saw blade when I'm making miters for something like a box shelf or even cutting a profile in the sides of a cutting board. The next item in my list was eye-opening to me when I first discovered them, and if you have tools in your shop with cast iron tops, these are a game changer. This is a mag switch. If you turn the little switch on top, it becomes a super strong magnet. Turn the little switch off, and it's back to being a paperweight. These guys are so handy for use with any saw that you have that has a cast iron top. You can use them at the end of your cuts on a bandsaw like a positive stop for repeatable plunge cuts, and you can buy or even make your own accessories like feather boards or fences. These guys eliminate the dependency on the miter slot if you don't have one or if it's too far out of reach for the task you're trying to accomplish. I've even used mine just as stops to keep something from sliding around, like when I'm flattening the top of this butcher block. I use these things all the time. Tool number 5 is the automatic center punch. A key skill to have in woodworking is to be able to accurately locate and drill a hole in your workpiece. Center punches allow you to make an indentation that can act like a target for your drill bit and give you a place to reference with the brad on the end of your drill bit. You'll notice that it'll cause your bit to sink right in where you made the mark. And when you press down on the automatic center punch, it will give your punch some extra punch. Hear that click? It's driving the center punch into the work for you, so no need to have a mallet in the other hand to tap on the top of the center punch. All right, next we have maybe the oddest and most expensive tool in the list, but hear me out on this one. This is the Centipede work holder. This tool changed the way I worked with plywood. Now, I don't have a big workbench or assembly table in my shop, and I hate cutting plywood on the ground. The Centipede is a collapsible work holder that'll allow you to get your work up off the floor. Now, I like to put a piece of rigid foam insulation on top to act as a work surface, but it also gives my saw blade a safe place to go when I'm breaking down plywood. So I guess with the rigid foam insulation, this is actually 2 useful tools and not just one. Bonus. And when I'm done, the Centipede just folds up and gets the heck out of my way. The next item I have for you is really useful if you're a fan of Bessey clamps, and that is the clamp extender. This simple tool works with your Bessey parallel clamps to allow you to double them up and get twice the clamping capacity, which can save you money on buying larger clamps. Or if you already have larger clamps like these big 50-inch clamps, these extenders allow you an eye-popping 100 plus inches of clamping ability. That's way bigger than even my biggest pipe clamps. So if you're looking for a way to increase your clamping capacity without actually adding new clamps, consider these clamp extenders. Speaking of extenders, item number 8 is the CMT router collet extender. Basically what this little guy does is it extends the reach of your router bit by adding extra length to the collet. This is great when you need to route an extra deep groove, or even when you're using a slab flattening jig like I am here and you need extra reach beyond the normal plunge depth of your router. By the way, if you like this flattening jig I'm using, I do have plans available for download, and I'll leave a link in the description below if you'd like to pick them up. Okay, item number 9 is digital calipers. Being able to accurately measure the thickness of your workpiece when a precision fit is needed and accurately measure the depth of a hole can be made easier with these digital calipers. Now, I've owned some junk calipers in the past. One thing I can say is that you typically get what you pay for with any tool. These calipers from iGaging aren't the cheap calipers, but they also aren't the crazy expensive machinist level calipers. They're accurate enough, in my opinion, for anything you need to do in woodworking, and I'd save my money on buying anything more expensive than these for this type of work. If you need more accuracy, you can definitely pay for it, but for woodworking, I don't think you'll really need better than this. Now, these calipers can be set to inches or millimeters, which is nice. That brings us to item number 10 on the list. This laser level from Bosch is awesome. This model that I have gives you a horizontal and vertical reference line for plumb and level up to 40 feet in bright green, easy to see lines. I used it on my floating shelf install and was super happy with it. I was able to put it on my camera tripod for easy adjustability up and down to hit all my shelf heights. Admittedly, this is the only laser level that I've owned, so I really can't compare it to other makes and models, but I can tell you that it has done everything I've asked it to do, and I haven't sought to buy anything else due to lack of performance. Alright guys, that's it. 10 tools I use in my shop all the time. Again, I have affiliate links to all these items down in the comments below, so if you want any of these for your shop, please consider supporting my channel by using my links. Also, please leave me a comment below if you have any questions about these items that I didn't answer. I'm always glad to share more specifics about them and also share my experience using them. And I hope that at least a few of these items were ones that you hadn't considered or were unaware of, and that this video delivered some value to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up below, and if you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell icon to be notified when I release new content. Thanks for watching everyone, and until next time, have fun in the shop.